gaslighting, people that are troublemakers. And I wanted to talk about recovery and addiction. I want to have those two subjects. And I finally got you on the show. I know you don't have time for me. You're so busy, you know,
It's the
Northern
life, man. I
California.
just got so much going on.
I know.
Out here saving lives,
Hey,
Sorry.
I'm just honored that you're able to dip your toe into this pool, this little waiting pool that I have of audience. And I wanted you to talk about what Elevate does. So please, right now, this is where I go shuddy. It's you. Tell everybody, of course, who you are, but more importantly, what it is that you do and who you're connected with.
Okay, so my name is Angie Manson. I am the CEO of Elevate Addiction Services. I also have a podcast called The Elevate Experience, and I've been in the recovery field for over 26 years. And we employ a modality and philosophy that's completely different than mainstream media's, or not even media, just mainstream recovery, which is a 12-step based program. And so our program is a lot different, but we have amazing results. And I can talk about the program, or I can talk about what led me here today.
I am going to do my best. I'm going to do my best to get as much out of you as I possibly can, because I don't know when we'll be able to spend time together again. We will be able to spend time together again. So I want to do this. Let's do this. First thing I want to know is, are the construction people still there?
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear that buzzsaw, right? Like literally, there we go. You can see him outside the window. Yeah, he's out there
Okay.
sanding, so they are definitely still here.
Okay. Now, the second thing that I want to do is I want to have you tell us about the family that's behind you on the floor wandering around back there called your dogs. So tell us about your dogs real quick.
This is Sid. He's my puppy.
Oh my goodness.
I know. He's an Alaskan
Adorable.
Sleek Eye, miniature husky.
Ooh.
Very talkative. He is all puppy, but he is full grown. So he's about 10
Okay.
months old. That's as big as
Wow.
they get. I have two
Okay.
of them. I have another little girl around here. She might show her
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
She's a little
Okay.
chubbier, but they keep me busy. They are just like big huskies, but shrunken down. So they have all the
Wow.
best qualities, except a lot littler poop, which is really nice.
Okay. Okay. And that is very important because you don't want to clean up after somebody that has a lot of poop.
Yeah.
You don't mind some poo, but not a lot of poo.
Yeah, you don't
So
want like elephant size. Yeah, no.
okay, elephant. Okay, so you know what? Now that leads me to what I want to segue to right now.
All
Okay,
right.
so in your life, have you had to deal with people who have given you or dumped on you elephant-sized poo?
I mean, nonstop in the drug rehab industry, we are constantly, with every changing tide, there's new rules, regulations, insurance, laws, COVID, you name it. There is, and like right now, our South Lake Tahoe facility, we just had to evacuate it because of the fires up there. So I had to get
Oh,
my
wow.
whole team, all the clients, all the staff out of their homes and bring them back to our main place in Santa Cruz because the fires almost burnt them down. And right now, the air quality up there is so poor still that we can't put anybody back there. So yes, to answer your question, daily.
You've dealt with poo, and you just make sure you don't fling poo or poo fung poo, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have had a journey. Others can relate to your journey once they hear it. So let us hear your journey when it comes to recovery, addiction. Tell us your journey.
So I was born into a single mom. She had me very young at 18, straight out of high school, and still, a kid herself. I didn't have a father, and some aunts and uncles. I was a very smart kid. I excelled. Like every Sunday, my mom and I went to the library. I was really good at math. Like I could add up the grocery receipt before it was even done. Like
Wow.
I had really great basic learning. Unfortunately, I started dabbling with drugs and alcohol at 11. I was a
Mm.
latchkey kid.
Yeah.
So, my mom worked 2 jobs, and it was my responsibility to get myself to school, get myself home, make myself dinner, do my own homework, which I could do, but I could also have a lot of freedom to do things that weren't so good. And living in low-income housing, in apartments, I was surrounded with a lot of other kids in a similar situation. So
Mhm.
I started getting into trouble really young. And like I said, I think I started drinking. My first drinks were at 11, started smoking
Wow.
cigarettes, and then just
Wow.
progressed from there.
When it
So,
comes when it comes to the environment that you were in, you didn't have a lot of control over that. When it came to the people you were associating with, they were pretty much in the same situation you were in. Being a latchkey kid, a lot of people may not even understand and know what that means. But give a definition to that, because a lot of people that watch this show, they're just beginning their journey of either recovery or understanding maybe abuse. Um, what is a latchkey kid, so people will understand that maybe they were that and didn't even know it contributed to
yeah.
a lifestyle that they end up having later. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just so opposite of how it is in today's times, totally different than even how I raised my kids. So basically, it was your parents worked, you didn't have a stay at home mom, so you had to be responsible for yourself. And so for myself, I would ride my bike to school, I would be there all day, I'd have to ride myself home, I'd have to do my own homework. A lot of times I made myself dinner. And we were trusted to do this from, fifth grade, fourth grade, sixth grade on, just out of necessity. It was how we survived back then. And it made me very independent, and I could take care of myself. I got very used to being self-sufficient and responsible, but it also gave me a lot of freedom without a lot of oversight, because my mom was working her butt off, 2 jobs to support
Yeah.
the two of us. And so I had a lot of time on my hands to get myself into trouble, which is what I did with that.
Yeah. And the number of the people, young people that you were around were in similar situation, would you say? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like the majority of the people in my apartment complex, way similar situations, parents that were working or single parent households, or just parents that were sort of checked out. But there was a lot of us in a very similar situation.
So
And
when
it's
you
called
start,
latchkey because you actually,
yeah.
back then I didn't have a purse. We didn't have like reliable means of maintaining our stuff. So you had a key and you would literally wear it around your neck so that you could get in and out of your house. That was like the safest place to put your key.
Yeah, you're getting some comments and love on the screen, and one of the things that someone says is that it sounds like an average Russian kid that comes from my Russian friend, beautiful friend Anastasia, who has been on the show. She's here, and she agrees with you. This aspect of living, a lot of people may have not understood it. Maybe they have never been in it themselves, but it was being self-sufficient, at a young age, not by choice. It was a situation that you were in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, I wouldn't change a thing. I think about
Yeah.
how independent, creative, you think of solutions because you didn't have a cell phone. So it wasn't like,
Yeah.
Google, how do I do this? Or,
Yeah.
you
You got
just
to go
had
to
to
the
figure it
you
out.
had to
It
go
was
to
like
the
trial and
library. You had to
error.
go. Yeah, trial and error. Wait, there you go. No, that's it. Trial and error, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you started to experience association, or it was put before you to start drinking or other things, was that something that was put before you, as I just said, or did you just wake up one day and say, you know what, I think I want to become an addict?
Oh, never woke up to even know what an addict was, but
Right.
certainly I was surrounded by it. I had aunts and uncles who I looked up to, who I thought were super cool, and they were only about 10 years ahead of me. I was almost like the seventh child because my mom was the first child, so I was like hanging out with the youngest children. And I saw them and they looked super cool. And it's interesting, the longer I do this, the more I figure out that a lot of us that started using very early, it's because we were emulating people, either older siblings or like
Yeah.
myself, aunts and uncles, who just look like the coolest people on the planet, and you want to do what they're doing. And for myself, even just the first time I drank, it was New Year's Eve, and we're like, well, what do adults do? Like, let's have a drink, let's celebrate. And that was the first time I had a drink. I think I said I was like 11 years old. And then,
Wow.
yeah, didn't particularly love it. It was kind of nasty, but I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're gonna keep trying this.
But this is
And,
making me an adult that, I could see,
yes,
no, you can see a kid. I mean, we all were kids at one
yeah,
time. We're going like, okay, this is nasty, but I guess this is what they do. But
100%. Just like
now,
the cigarettes. The cigarettes were the same way. I was like,
okay,
someone stole some from their mom and their sibling, and we're like up on the hill trying to smoke them. I was like, this is disgusting. But it didn't stop us. We just kept going until all of a sudden it tasted normal.
it's exactly what I was going to ask you next about cigarettes, and I'm glad you
Yeah.
highlighted that. So whether it was alcohol or cigarettes, which were happen to be or could be accessible to you to either take or have it, when did it become when did it become clear to you that you were going to go outside of cigarettes and alcohol? At what age or what point did you move to something different than those two?
It wasn't much after that. They were pretty close succession because the same kids that were able to steal the cigarettes from their parents, they're like, oh, look what I got this time. I stole some of my mom's weed. And we're like, oh,
Oh,
what's
oh
weed?
wow.
Okay, yeah, let's do
All
weed.
right.
So, but I will say we stayed in just the weed, alcohol, cigarette era for a
Right.
few years. But I think I tried like methamphetamines at
Yes.
13. I was pretty young. I
You're pretty young.
started dabbling in the heavier stuff pretty young.
If you were able, and you may do this already, so bear with me. You're the professional. I'm not. I'm just the guy with the show. So that my daughters and I put on. I just want to say, I'm going to ask you this. You correct me now if I got this wrong. Would it be safe to say that a lot of young people end up going down this path because of association and influence more than just them, as I said to you, not maybe in a joking way, they don't just wake up to become an addict that needs recovery. Could it be association and influence and maybe curiosity, and they're not just a bad person?
100%. I mean, that's
Okay,
what my experience. Most of the people I know, we didn't start out trying to be bad people and junkies. Like,
yeah,
I did it because it was fun and I was trying to be cool and I wanted to fit in. I wasn't even chasing like the high or checking out or how it made me feel. I just
right.
wanted to be cool and fit in, and definitely not bad people. There's definitely trauma. I think that is a common thread to, I mean,
Okay,
I would say all human beings, not even just addicts and
yes,
alcoholics. Like
I
there's
agree. I
trauma
agree.
in our childhood at some point.
Yes,
But for me, that wasn't like, maybe when I was older, it was an escape. But when I was younger, it was all about just partying and having fun. No, it was also the 80s. So it was like, woo, that was all we knew. You watch
wow.
rock videos. It was just all about having fun. It was a cool era to grow up in, but it was very much, very pro party.
Hey, I
And
could fight. I could fight you on the cool era because mine was the '60s, but then too, I feel so old now that you said the '80s. But anyhow, but go ahead. You were going to say something, my
well,
friend. Go ahead.
the other benefit that I had was I grew up in Reno, and Reno is a 24
Oh,
hour town.
yes, it
So
is. Yeah.
again, very simple to sort of just stay out late and do the wrong things and be surrounded by people and just sort of fade into whatever was happening in the
Right.
environment, which was always a lot happening because it's a 24-hour town. So, it wasn't like everything gets shut down at 2 a.m. And if you're out and about, you stand out like a sore thumb. It was more like that's when things were getting going. So it definitely contributed to me really just more and more taking part of that lifestyle.
So that's really what it was. The last words you used, that it was a lifestyle
Yeah.
that you were in. Uh, at what point then did this lifestyle become something that you carried with you as you moved through life? When did you leave that area? When did you grow? At what point did you transition into being an adult who still needed or at least enjoyed having, well, these other things so you could have fun?
So when I was because of that 24-hour lifestyle, I was dropping out of school, lying, cheating. My parents caught me. I ran away numerous times. And so at 16, my parents put me in my first rehab. And I was not ready. I did not think I had a problem. I was acting like everybody I knew. I just had the unfortunate of having, parents that cared or wanted to discipline me is how I looked at it.
Mhm.
And they were practicing tough love, which was a really popular book back then, which was like, you take away all their freedoms and privileges
Yep.
and
Yep.
basically
Yeah.
pride and anything else and try to break them down to get the person to see their wrongs, which didn't really work with me. So They put me in my first rehab at 16. There, I met a whole new group of friends to party with, a new boyfriend who were doing even
Okay.
heavier drugs.
You know,
Yeah, so it,
somebody right now heard you say that, or is going to hear that and going like, "Let me go get my kid out of rehab right now." Get my kid.
yeah, I mean, you
Uh,
do run that risk, but at the same time, when you're ready, you're ready.
yeah.
And a lot of times, and again, it's up to, I mean, I was 16 years old. I was definitely not ready. There hadn't been enough wreckage or ruin in my life for me to even think that this was a problem. So, went to rehab, found a new boyfriend, new drugs, barely graduated high school. Only did
Yeah.
because I was doing tons of meth, so I could stay up all night doing all the back work that I missed out on. Not a pro of that. I do
Uh,
not recommend that. Just do it right the first time.
we
Um,
are putting a disclaimer in here. Do not use it as a way to get a college degree
yeah,
or
definitely not. Just do
high
his
school
work
diploma.
normally.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So by the time I was 19, though, I was still, as a juvenile, I'd been arrested about 7 times. And
Okay.
once I hit 18, like the light bulb wasn't like, oh, you're an adult now. That is going to get harder on you. I was just still doing the same stuff. And was getting in a little bit of trouble. I moved away from home. I was living with my best friend in Santa Cruz, moved back to Reno. And then I was about 20, and this whole time I'm keeping this habit going, but now I'm an independent adult. I had job after job after job. One thing I had was good work ethic, so it was it helped propel me with my usage, because as long as I showed up to work and did the right thing, I didn't think I had a problem. And
Wow.
so when I was about 20, I worked at a FedEx is here. Hold on.
While we take a FedEx break, no, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Goodness. Okay. So, when I was 20, I moved back home and I worked at a rental car place. And I really missed my friends back in Santa Cruz. That's where I had become an adult and, was away from my family for the first time. And I was hanging around not great people, but was unable to make it. So, the rental car company I worked for allowed me to rent a car, and I on cash, because I had no credit because I worked
Mhm.
there. And I took the car and I came back to Santa Cruz, and I kept it longer than I should have. I got it in a few accidents,
Wow.
and yeah, it was bad. I mean, there was an angel sitting on my shoulder that was like trying so hard to help me as I was sort of self-destructing. And I ended up crashing it for good. And by that point, I was like late going back to work by a week. And I decided, okay, I'm done with Reno. I'm just going to move back here to Santa Cruz. This is where my heart is. And I kind of forgot about it. Got a house, got a job with friends, doing my thing. And then I got arrested for doing something else, or they called my name in, and I found out I had this warrant. And that's
Oh, wow.
where I realized that the previous employer had filed embezzlement charges on me. It was a
Ooh.
felony because the car was over $13,000, but because I worked there, it was embezzlement. And so it was a pretty significant charge that was being filed against me for
Wow.
renting this car, keeping this car, and crashing this car. Yeah. And so with that, I was told by the judge, you're facing about 10 years in prison.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
at 20 years old, 21 years old, 10 years in prison, it's pretty scary.
Yeah.
And I'd spend a little time in jail with the DUIs and different things, but prison's like a different level.
It's a whole nother level. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
The whole.
different level. And
Yeah.
I knew it was one I didn't want to go to. So my public defender said, look, we're going to say you have a drug problem. We'll get you drug diversion instead. And this is how you're going to get yourself out of this situation. And I went, oh, okay, I get it. We're going to say I have a drug problem. Okay, I can get on board
Oh,
with that.
wait. No, time out, time out. Did you really think that? You were really thinking
Yes.
that? You're
Oh, I
like,
was
oh, we're just gonna say it because I really don't have a problem. I have no idea
totally.
what you're talking. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All
Yeah,
right. So
facing 10
anyhow,
years in prison, and I'm still in denial that there's any
yeah.
problem whatsoever here. I just have bad luck, man.
You just literally hit a brick wall in life, and you're going like, man, I don't know why this wall is in my way. I was doing just fine.
Yeah, things
Okay.
are going just good. Why
Uh,
does this always happen to me?
so yeah, me, what? Why me? Okay.
Yeah.
So you went along with this supposed problem or
Yes.
that you had
Yes.
in
And
court. What happened?
yes. And so luckily for me, and I didn't know this at the time, but the judge who was sentencing me was in recovery himself. And he was the
No.
very first person, and I may have been, and because I've done some research since then, the first person that they actually granted drug diversion in
Diversion.
place
Hmm.
of prison. So he was the first
Doing so.
guy in Reno to do that. And so he sentenced me to a year in rehab, which is a really long time to be in a program. Like there isn't a lot of programs out there that would ever even consider doing a year. And coming from,
I can't even, just for a moment, I can't even think of somebody that will get a year, 6 months, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, but not a year.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Why,
it was a year of
why did you
rehab
get
or
a year?
10 years in
Wait,
prison. So are
why
you going
did
to
you
make it
get
work?
he, why did you get a year? Any idea before you keep going?
I think it was, then that was like a reasonable request as opposed to 10 years in prison.
Okay, I
So,
get
and
you.
he
I
also
get you from
wanted
that
to,
standpoint.
yeah, and I think he wanted to give me enough time to get it straight.
Oh, that's a
30
lot of
days,
time.
60 days might not have been
No,
what I
no.
needed. And so the trick was finding somewhere that would take me for a year. Luckily, my best friend, who we've been getting in trouble this whole time together, had gone through a program, her friend's dad's house. And so she took me up there and I talked to him. I couldn't actually afford the program. It was very small. It was literally in his house. And so he said, look, you can just start sort of earning your way, right away. So I started doing a program while I was working there, which was very interesting, because I am getting sober myself, but I was still kind of, because it was in my hometown of using, I was still getting high on the weekends, but then also trying to help people. And it was just very confusing.
You're okay. That was very no, but you're 20 though. You're 20, 21 around that time frame. You're
Yeah.
still kind of walking that life of still being this young teenage person inside playing, but trying to be the adult on the outside. So
Yeah, and I could get on board with like giving up the meth. I'm like, okay, I can see the meth isn't bad, but I will smoke pot my entire life. Like I just need
you're
that to feel normal. That is what I do. That is, it's medicinal. I had all the reasons. And I just couldn't get on board with not ever using drugs or alcohol again. Like I just struggled with that concept at that age, for sure.
yeah,
Um,
okay.
yeah. So, I started working, started giving, started like getting like that feeling of being there for other people, which when you're an addict or an alcoholic, it's a very selfish, self-centered sort of place. Like you're looking out for number one, first and foremost, and always not really thinking about what you're doing affecting others. And at one point, a new person had come in, and the executive director wanted me to slow down my program so I could help him get caught up so we could be at the same point. And I was so irritated. I'm like, oh, I'm this far along and now you want me to wait. And he said, you know what, lady? Girl, guess I was girl at that time. You are the most self-centered, selfish, and
Oh
he
my
used a few
goodness.
other words I've
Oh
ever
my.
met in my life. And I'm
Did you
thinking,
say he was a
dude,
director?
yeah, I was like, dude, you're 50. I'm the worst you've ever met. What? Like, really?
Oh my Lord.
But it kind of like jolted me. It was what I needed to hear. It was hit me where I was at, where I went, dang, you're kind of right. Like, what am I in such a hurry for? Like, where I gotta
Yeah,
go? I'm here
yeah,
for a
yeah.
year or two. Why is this even a thing for me?
Where I gotta go. Where I gotta. But you absorbed it and you
Yeah,
processed it. You processed it. Is that what you're saying?
100%. It actually hit home. It, hit my heart. And
Yes.
I really started looking at things, and I realized, like when I was younger, what made me feel good was helping others. And I really get like my passion and purpose in life is helping others and being there for people, not even thinking or worrying about myself. So what I was being was someone that wasn't even me. And this kind of jolted me into being me. And that really, that
Wow.
quick little conversation changed my life because
Wow.
it put me on my path of where I needed to be.
That's amazing. You never saw that conversation coming, did you?
Myself? No.
No,
Who
no,
talks
no.
to someone
You
like
never
that?
saw this. Would you say 50? This 50-year-old guy, this old guy telling you, you girl, like I'm the worst you've ever had. It was like
Yeah.
now question. This is I don't want to jump to current times, but I am going to ask you a question that could apply now, and then we can go back to something I'm going to talk to about your journey in a minute.
Yeah.
Have you talked to somebody else the same way he talked to you at some point?
Uh, in a nicer way. Well, especially these
Okay.
days, you can't
All right. I
talk to
like you.
anybody like that
Wait. Well,
anymore.
that's okay. That's true. And I like you. But I think you probably have gotten really close to what he said to you to some people
Yeah, I absolutely have,
because
and
you're
people
very down
actually
to earth.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go back to where you were there. Now you're living in the director's place and you're there.
Yep.
Um, right now I'm looking at the screen. Some things have popped up while you've been talking and also just right now. But Art for Annie has sent you some hearts and some happy faces there. Others are loving your story. I'm going to read Bridget. Publisher says, yes, emulating cousins for me started smoking and drinking at 11 years old. Also, she's saying.
Yeah.
So she relates to what you're saying as well. Annie, Anastasia said that in Russia, their key was under the rug.
Yeah.
So they, they were latchkey keys under the rug. So others are telling you right now, I just want you to know this. Thank you for sharing your story, powerful and raw. That's a good way to describe you. You need to start making a line of T-shirts or merch that's called Powerful and Raw.
Oh,
Hashtag power, hashtag powerful and raw.
oh, I
I'm set
love
up and talking on. And the other thing is, you know what? That could be a nice name for a book.
that.
You
Yeah.
could you could you need to get some people together and make a documentary called Powerful and Raw. The road to recovery or something like that. I'm sorry, this stuff pops in my head. You do with
I
it
love
as you
it.
wish.
No,
The
it's
other thing,
beautiful. I've often thought of it because it's such a well,
yeah.
you know, as we keep talking, the
Oh
story
no,
gets better.
yeah. We're gonna talk about that in a minute. I just want you to know everybody's appreciating you, and I don't want to miss this love they're showing. It says, I love that you can see that as a positive. What you've gone through is what Bridget Publisher is saying, and the turning point for you. They appreciate, they love the fact that you can see that. So your story, just the points that we've covered so far, are encouraging, but you're not done. Tell
Okay.
me more, and tell all of us more.
Awesome. Yeah, so definitely not done, but I got through that first year. I went back to the judge and he said, good job, amazing. I brought a great letter from the executive director about how he's
Yeah.
seen me progress at that point. I mean, we were very small, so I was almost, I'd moved up. I was an executive in the organization at that point in time.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I was really starting to learn the ropes. And so he wrote this great letter for me. And so the judge said, amazing, phenomenal work. So here's the deal. You're done with rehab and you still have 2 more years of probation. And I want to see you
Wow.
every 6 months. And you also have that $13,000 restitution that you're responsible for the car. And I was like, crap. Okay, so if I do leave, first of all, where am I going to go? And then I've got this 10 years hanging over my head. Like if I do one thing, like, a drunk in public, whatever, they're going to hit me with that 10 years. And I kind of was not feeling very secure in my ability to stay out of trouble. And I was really starting to get the groove of working and with others and helping others and seeing those wins. So for me, it really wasn't a difficult decision. I kind of said, okay, I just got to stay put and keep doing what I'm doing because anything else could lend me where I don't want to go. And so that's what I did. So for the next 2 years, I kept moving and progressing and working and going back every 6 months with a new letter, with a new letter, with a new letter.
Uh,
And finally, by the time at the end of the 3 years, I was now like the second in command. I was like the person.
wow.
Yeah, I was his right hand man. I knew how I knew how to run him and the organization, and I
Yep.
loved every
Yep.
position
Yep.
within it, and I loved it. And so I went back at the 3 years, and my public defender said, look, they're going to recommend another 3 years because you've not made a dent in that restitution.
Uh,
Um, yeah, back then, I mean, minimum wage was a law, but
oh.
we
Yeah.
didn't really abide by it. Like, as long as I had a roof over my head, some cigarettes, like I was cool. Like I wasn't looking to get rich. I was here for other reasons, but
Right.
I also just didn't make any money. And so I had not made any progress on that restitution. Maybe $50 a month I was all able to do, but 13,000 is a lot. And I was like, wow, another 3 years? Like, eesh, okay. let's see what happens. And so we went in front of the judge, and the prosecutor gave his recommendation, and my defensive person gave his defense. And the judge looked at me, and he looked at the prosecutor, and he said, I really don't know what else you expect us to get out of this girl. She's done everything she wanted to do. She's completely reversed her life. She's an executive running a rehab and helping others get sober. You guys got that insurance money from that car like years ago. You really want to keep this over her head? And the guy was all, he's getting checked by that.
Right, yeah.
And
Body slam is what he really did to him. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. And then he turned and looked at me and he said, you know what, young lady, it's so rare. I actually get to see something good, some success come out of this room. Not only am I going to wipe away that restitution, I'm wiping away any felonies and any records you have. You're completely a clean slate, young lady. Go out and live your life. I'm super proud of you. I hope you keep doing what you're doing. But you are done seeing me.
Way to go, Idaho. Seriously. That
amazing.
Is so cool.
It's like getting a pardon. Like, it's like, wow, yeah. I didn't even know that could happen. I didn't even know they had that power. And it was amazing. Yeah. I cried. I was crying profusely, and I'm thanking him. And he's like, you don't have to thank me. You did the work. And I'm like, yeah, but you put me on the path, sir. And so it was just like an amazing, amazing day. It was like that vindication. You finally made amends. You finally righted your wrongs. It was just acknowledgement, from somebody in a very amazing position. There was so much flood of emotions that it was the best.
Right now, you're talking about this. You remember the moments, you remember the time. And I know it was an amazing time based upon what you're saying, but just for an exercise for everyone else. And for anybody that's going through difficult times because of addiction and recovery. I have a lot of people, I've told you this already, that write me and talk to me, whether in the comments or others, and they want to see someone or a show that they can connect with someone. You happen to have Elevate that you work with.
Yeah.
But for that moment in time, describe the emotions, even though you talked a little bit about it. What was it really like for you to have someone in your corner after you've done the work to stand up for you?
It was, there was no better feeling. Like I said, I was like thanking him, and he was saying, you did the work. And I'm the last person, and I think a lot of us are guilty of this, that will validate or acknowledge ourselves. Yeah. And, we're quick to validate others and quick to criticize ourselves, but actually acknowledging and validating ourselves. It was a different experience, and I truly think that's where a lot of the tears were coming from. It's like winning a race, like the Olympics, like you worked so hard for this thing, and then something amazing. So it was a huge flood of emotions and gratitude, acknowledgement. I didn't have a dad, so it was almost like, being acknowledged by your father, like for job well done, when you never have heard him say that before.
Say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't a part of your lifestyle to have a male testosterone come in and say, hey, you know what? Well, with no strings attached. That was you. You did the work. Well done. As a matter of fact, I've got you covered. You guys need to leave her alone and let her go live her life. Not only that commendation, but that protection came in as well from someone you didn't expect. And in actuality, it set the tone for kind of what you do now. You add commendation and protection to others by what you're doing now. But if we take from when that happened to now, what happened in between when that happened till now?
So the first thing that happened is I had a decision to make, because this was the first time I didn't have something hanging over my head. And it's like,
oh, wow.
Well, you want to go do something else? You could go do anything. Like the judge said, the world's your oyster. And I'm like, well, what else am I going to do? Like, this is what I do now. I love this. And you
were 21? Were you 21? Were you 21, 22, thereabouts, or 20?
I think I was 23 when I finally got this.
Go ahead.
And it was like, well, what else would I do? Like, but it was so cool, because now I'm here because I want to be here. Now I'm here because this is my passion, my purpose, my desire. It's not because, the judge wants it, or the courts, or the prison, it's just.
Because I have to stay out of prison.
Yeah.
This is all you.
It's all me. And so that's what happened is I stayed put and I kept working with that executive director, and then he ended up retiring. I took over his position and ran that program for 20 years. And
Whoa.
yeah, until about 7 years ago, we decided to branch off and make our own program based off of the 20 years of experience, the team I
Yeah.
built, the modality. We wanted to shift it around, and
Yeah.
that's when we started Elevate. And I've been doing Elevate ever since then.
You have you have given me goosebumps just from your story because, as you know, I never want to hear people's story before, no matter how much they want to tell me in a show prep or anything. I always want to know in the show. I already admire and respect you for all the hard work you have done and the research I've done to take a look at what you have there. But to hear it from you, because you get applause and you get recognition from other people, and you're working hard to keep so many things in the air for others to be attracted to. But how do you keep yourself afloat emotionally now?
This last couple of years has been a true test of that because, my kids got older. I am went all in on my kids. And so, my life was defined, even though I have this amazing drug rehab I run, I
Yeah,
love my kids. That was my purpose. And with them, moving on, the pandemic, my life was just in a kind of, it was like missing, going away from the old program, creating the own. I went through some definite emotional stuff, but the thing that helps me most, what drives me, is exercise. I found CrossFit about 8 years ago. Wasn't very good at it, never really worked out in my life, wasn't even very healthy, didn't grow up eating healthy choices. And I have a pretty serious heart condition, so I always held myself back from doing a lot of exercise because I didn't want to kill myself.
yeah.
And so, but
Very good reason, by the way.
yeah,
Just
that's a
let's
pretty good
clarify.
reason. So,
Exercise. Okay, go ahead.
and the funny thing is I was out there, at 14 years old doing meth, not knowing I have this heart condition. I'm super lucky I didn't kill myself. I mean, if the meth didn't kill me, exercise isn't, right?
Yeah. Well, hey, if you would have did exercise instead of the meth, you would have never ever, had 10 years of prison hanging over your head.
That's
But go
fact.
ahead.
I wouldn't be where
Go
I'm
ahead.
at today. Well,
That's
and
true.
it was because of this exercise that, I
We have gone
reality
41
and
minutes.
just take, and that's what I'm doing. So I just challenge myself, cold showers, hard walks with vests, whatever I can do to keep sort of
Yeah.
challenging myself handles this.
I was going to, I don't know how you do it. This has been an interesting day. I was going to lead up to what you're talking about right now, and you
Uh-huh.
went right to it. So it was because it is a mainstay of your program, what
Yep.
you're discussing right now.
Yep.
You have done 75 hard.
Yep.
I keep saying I'm going to do it. It's,
You
and
just got to
my
start,
my
man. You
daughters my
can't.
daughters have already done it, and Tough Mudder. They've done a number of different things, and I want you to know when it comes to your program, I want you to know that there are a number of people that I have mentioned that you were going to be on the show. Excuse me. They've taken a look at your program and other things, and they love it because you really put a focal point on moving the body and exercise. Not just like body movement, but literally trying to stay healthy instead of being unhealthy.
Yeah. Well,
Why is that so important? Oh, no, go ahead. No, please.
well, and that's why, because, you can get, what I saw and what I'm not, and I love NA and AA, so please no, I'm not slamming them. But what I
Neither
wanted
one.
to
Let me
boost
clarify
is,
something. Neither one of us, not to cut, but neither
yeah.
one of us are doing that. But just tell us the benefit of yours, though.
Right. So what happens is a lot of times people get sober, but then they're smoking a lot, they're drinking coffee, they're not eating well, they're just talking about, oh, this is what I did and this is how bad I was and here's my war stories, and it just sort of keeps them down in this lower level of health, mental wellness and all that. And so my goal was to do the exact opposite. It's like we don't talk about our past. We'll write up our transgressions, but we're not living war stories. That's not what we're going to
Yeah,
do. We're doing mindfulness so that we're in the present and we're only thinking about now. We're not future tripping. We're just being
yeah,
mindful. Mindful you can take anywhere with you. You can handle triggers. And then also with the exercise, when people are coming off drugs and alcohol, they're not sleeping well. And so a lot of programs will uh, you'll come in on one thing and they'll put you on 5 different things to get you sober. And it's like, well, now you're on medication, but you're sober. And it's like, but you're really not, because your mind is still altered. You're just on pharmaceuticals as opposed to whatever else you were on, or even just alcohol. Now you're on 5 different kinds of pills. And so we wean everybody off all the medication, and then they do the program completely sober. And so they learn how to deal with emotions, which is okay to have emotions. You can be
yeah,
mad, you can be sad, you can
yeah,
be pissed. Like, it's okay. Like,
yeah.
have those emotions, and then how to learn how to work through them rationally without the need to go medicate or to take away the pain or all the other reasons that we use. And then the exercise like kicks everything into gear like way faster. You can get those endorphins, your body's sweating, you're detoxing, you're able to sleep better, you're able to feel better, you're starting to make healthier choices because you're putting in the hard work in the gym, and you're eating better, and then you feel better. And so it's this just amazing circle that we create of health and well-being that also relates to your mind and your spirit.
I am so happy you said yes to come on the show
Uh,
because this is exactly. I could say the same thing, but it has no meaning.
uh,
You are an expert in this field, and I agree with it 100%. Even though I personally have never and will never walk the path that will put me at your facility, I'm still coming to your facility at some point
yes,
just to see you in
anytime.
person. We're both California people. I just got to get to where you are at the same time when you're not your home is not going under construction. So,
Yeah.
matter of fact, hey, you know what? We had planned to do something. We haven't done it yet. I don't even know if you remember. You can feel free to swing your chair around, and if you want to move around there, feel free to do that. We were going to
Sure.
play around. We were going to play around with that, everybody. So
Yep.
you
Here's
can
my
wait. Hold
wall
right
of
there, right there.
Niners.
Yes,
I'm a
that's what we want. Yeah, go ahead.
huge football fan. Also a huge fantasy football player, because of course I love games, very competitive. We have our draft tonight. And then swinging around, there's
You accidentally have some type of basketball thing over there, or jersey or whatever, some Warriors thing. I think you have.
oh yes, there's the Warriors, because we are huge Warrior fans here. Went to some of the playoff games. They're going to
Cool.
come back and beat you this year. Don't worry.
I didn't see. I didn't even bring up the Lakers. I totally left it alone. No, don't want to put my hat
Yeah, but
on
we
it.
know it's going to happen. Warriors,
Ouch.
Lakers. We're going to go for the
Ouch.
West Coast
Oh yeah,
Conference.
that's true. Yeah, there you go. Hey, that would actually be pretty good because we know we can't count on the Clippers. So,
That's
so
right. That's
I
right.
just had to throw that in. And I love the what was it? Oh, doggone it! I went blank already. This Brett Favre and Steve Young.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Brett Favre. Yeah,
That was actually the first football game I ever went to. It was a playoff game between the Niners and the Packers, and I was actually a huge Brett Favre fan. Obviously, a Steve Young fan too. So it was super
yeah,
cool. I got this picture many years later, and there's a little ticket stub up in the corner,
awesome.
because that was just such a great moment.
Yeah,
Best game, first game I
yeah,
ever went to. I love
yeah.
it. I'm a huge
I,
sports fan.
I've always enjoyed watching the Raiders play, but I always enjoyed watching Steve Young play. Steve Young he was really good. But
Yeah,
anyhow,
super good.
I just had to get that out of my system to show that wall. I just wanted to see your wall again. I love that picture too. I have the utmost respect for you because you're willing to help people, but it's not because it's something I see right now and it just happened to you. This stems from what you have always wanted to do, which is, and you're no doubt, very good at it, helping people. Some things got in the way, hiccups were in the way, but it just helps you solidify the art of helping people through addiction and recovery with Elevate. If you had to say in a few words, best you could, describing Elevate to someone who doesn't even know about your facilities, how would you describe Elevate? You talked a little bit about it,
Mhm.
but let's say someone is trying to decide, maybe they're in another facility, they're thinking about getting their family member in a facility. Give us a pitch.
So there's a couple things. One thing, and I used to think that this was a weakness, but I've come to realize that this is our biggest strength, is 95% of my staff are all in recovery. Most of them have been through my program. So there's something about being in a place of like-minded individuals that can help people who were in their position. You know, their learning didn't come from books and degrees and everything else.
Right.
It came from real life. We were all
Yeah.
addicts or alcoholics, so we understand. And that's really good because we know how to hold you more accountable. We know how to understand what you're going through, but still be tough on you and know that you're not going to break. Like, there's so much amazingness that can come from addicts helping addicts. So that's like a huge strength of ours. And I mean, I have people who've been with me for over 20 years. 22
Wow.
years, like my team, my leadership team, we've all been together. My lowest person, 8 years, and there's 20 of us. So we are like a team that like knows each other inside and out, have all been through it, and have all come to this place in time. So first, I would say experience, firsthand and otherwise.
Cool.
Secondly, we're all about empowerment. Like, you know, one thing that I struggled with AA is admit you're powerless. And even when I was at my worst, I knew I was creating my own mess deep down. And it was very difficult for me to tell myself, you are powerless. And so what we try to do is positive psychology. We want to build the person up so that they can overcome their addiction. They're not going to be a victim of their addiction their whole life. They don't have to be 20 years old, 20 years sober and still say, I'm Angie and I'm an addict. It's like, no, you haven't used in 20 years. You're an awesome member of society
Yeah.
that's kicking ass. You're not
Yeah.
defined by your past, and you don't need to live in fear in order to stay sober. You are confident and successful, and you are a new person, and you can overcome all the things and the adversity like I did and be where I'm at today without having that past be a label that's stuck to your
Right.
head.
Right. That every time they enter a room, they feel that they have to introduce themselves, or at least it's hanging over their head, similar to the 10 years of prison hanging over your head. It's
Yeah.
like they live in fear that they are going to relapse no matter what. And in actuality, they're going to be more successful than they are going to have relapses, or they're going to be more successful. Well, you know this better than I do. I'm
Yeah.
speaking just in conversation. Again, a guy with a show. But overall, your facilities are giving people an opportunity to see they don't have to live with a label.
Yeah.
They can just go live their life, similar to what the judge did with you at a younger age.
100%. The past is the past. Like, what you make is what you do today. And I want to remove that stigma of being a drug addict or an alcoholic. It's like, that's not who you are anymore. So don't act like it and don't call yourself that. Be a normal, producing, awesome, kick-ass member of society. And then, you know, then we got something. And then people are empowered. They can be around bad situations or family situations and not
Right.
feel like, oh my God, if I don't get to a
I'm
meeting, I'm going to relapse. It's like, no, you got this. You're empowered to handle this situation, and welcome to life. Like, we're constantly hit with adversity and things coming, and you just got to be prepared for anything without feeling like you need to go use in order to cope with that situation.
Do you find that many people are just not prepared for situations or have that
Yeah.
confidence because, well, the stigma says if you did that once, you're no good the rest of your life. So therefore, you have to be banished or banish yourself or beat yourself up all the time.
Yeah, or go back to day one. Like, your 10 years didn't
Oh,
count. You used. Now you're back
oh,
at day one.
there
Yeah,
you
I
go.
mean, that's really demoralizing because you did all that work and you put in that time, and you got to tell me if you use once, it's all gone. It's all for naught. And again, I understand the philosophies, and some people it really, really works well with, and I'm not opposed to that. But for other people, you just got to hit them where they're at and what makes sense to them. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I mean, I think you got to be able to be comfortable in whatever situation. I mean, the pandemic taught us that, right? Nobody was prepared for that
Mm.
whatsoever, and we saw
You're
the
right.
biggest rise in overdoses and
Yep.
suicides than we've
I
ever
was going to
seen.
say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have so much that people were, in many cases, and I'm just speaking from the shows that we've been doing, as a few people, therapists and others have said, some people have propped up their life to look so good, but when COVID hit, so much of it came crumbling down. because it was just a facade, and they really had not done the inner work or the work they needed to do to either be sober or a number of other things. And so, when it comes to your life right now and what you're doing, now that you didn't see this coming, so here we go, because you trust me. So here we
Okay.
go. Oh, I wanted to ask you this when we did our show prep, which I don't know. We did show prep a couple of times. I don't even remember. But anyhow, but I wanted to ask you this from the first day we talked, and I saved it for the show. So here we go. The life that you have right now and the life that you're leading right now, if it were a movie, if it were a movie, and you're too young, but I'm going to say this anyhow. So there were movie critics back in the day who would give it 2 thumbs up or a thumb down, or do you remember
Siskel
that?
and Ebert.
Oh, you did it. I was gonna wonder if you did. You did it. You
Yes.
did it. Okay, no, just roll with me on this. If your life was a movie and your children saw the trailer, decided they want to go to the premiere and go watch this movie, and you're not their mom. It's just a movie about Angie,
Yeah.
the life of Angie, and they're going to go watch this movie. Would they give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down? How would they rate this journey that has now become a movie that they go and watch this premiere, The Life of Angie? How would they rate?
I would say if this was a few years ago, maybe a thumbs down. But now that they're adults and they're living the real world and
Uh,
they actually understand what I do,
yeah.
I think they would definitely give it a double thumbs up. And I'll tell you why. This summer, my son, he finished his freshman year last year at Baylor, and he came home for the summer, and he said, "You know what, Mom? I might as well just work with you for the summer. What am I going to go get a job at like
Wow.
O'Neill or something?" And
Okay.
yeah,
Hey,
so
wait a minute. Wait a minute.
he
That's not a bad idea.
no, I know. It's
But
like right
okay,
down the
but go.
road. I get
Yeah,
it.
right. Yeah.
But
Yeah. Go ahead.
what 19-year-old boy wants to go work at a detox center at a drug rehab? And he did. And he we make everybody give a speech, and he gave this incredible speech. Like, I saw you do this my whole life, but I didn't really understand what you did until I'm in here working and I see, the miracles and being able to help people. And this is a kid who never did drugs, and he's up there working in my detox area, getting people off drugs. And so I think, and this is the benefit of time is I gotta see that. I gotta witness that. And it was like the biggest joy of my heart is to have my kid, come work for me and really love it and admire and respect me even more for what we do and the sacrifices that we've all made his whole life. Because, we traveled around, we were trying to help everybody, working long hours, there was so much that went into me being an executive his whole life, where I always felt guilty that I was cutting them short and not giving them all of me. And it makes me realize he understands and he is appreciative that what we did, it was all worth it.
Yeah, and you're truly kind, but you have the right to call him a kid. But I've seen the picture. That's a man.
He is.
That ain't yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He can pick me and probably you up at the same time. That's a man you got there. That's a bona
Yes.
fide man. You just say he's 19, 20. How old is he?
He's 19. He just went back. He's in his sophomore year now
What you
at Baylor.
been feeding that boy?
You know,
Or what's he been eating at Baylor?
Oh man. So the
That boy's
funniest thing
big.
about him is as he was growing up, I told you I didn't have good eating habits, and we ate fast food and TV dinners, and like I didn't know health whatsoever. And then when he hit and he struggled with weight the majority of his younger life because I wasn't a good cook and whatever, all the reasons. And then I started getting healthy and health conscious and health minded, and I tried to switch gears on them. And when you try to give a kid who's used to eating chicken nuggets, now all of a sudden we're going to have salad. He's like,
What's your problem?
no. Yeah,
You,
so it's been
Hitler. They think you're Hitler. They think you're Hitler all of a sudden.
gosh, it was like a nonstop battle. And then I was like, fine, well, I'm going to be on a diet. And then every dinner it was a fight because I'm trying to be good and they don't want to be good. And anyway, so we worked really hard on his diet. He finally started listening because he cares about what he looks like. And we CrossFitted all last year.
Wow.
He's in the gym and eating well and taking care of himself. And yeah, just so proud of how far he's come to care about his body in that manner too, because it's been a long, hard road for him with that.
You have spent 58 minutes and 3 seconds and counting discussing your life, and that's what we do here because I wanted the audience to meet you. But hopefully, it is still a thumbs up from you that we can eventually do some more work in the future and make this a bigger platform for you to talk about this. And maybe we can get some other people to that you have that work with you to join and be able to talk on a bigger stage in regards to recovery, addiction, and fitness and how it plays a part in that, and also dealing with trauma and other aspects. Just touching on a few things that Elevate does. I'm not saying we're going to make a commercial, but everybody knows how I kind of do this. I like showcasing people like yourself who change lives. So I really appreciate you doing this today. But 2 thumbs up is what you said about the movie. Now,
Yeah.
what you also didn't expect is for what I'm about to do to you now. So are you ready? Here we go. All right. Now, this is the last bit of the show, and then we're going to be done.
Okay.
But I do want to ask this of you. If you had to give advice, and this is the way we're going to close the show, I want you to take some time right now and talk to the audience, especially if they have relatives or children or whatever they're dealing with addiction, they themselves, who will watch this back later in the replay, who are with us right now. And there's a lot of love that's been on the screen, including some Jeff sends out NorCal love, so he's sending some love from up north where you are. Some people say you should make a book. Others says you are elevating people at Elevate. That's from Bridget Publisher. Forgive me, everybody, if I'm saying your name wrong. You got a lot of love. I love that. Stop reinforcing the past. There's so much that's here on the screen. But I need to do this with you. Oh, by the way, thanks for the show today. Educating people to change lives. Ripple effect is unknown and yet amazing is what someone put down. All that for you, my friend. But here we go. I need you to talk to the audience, but tell everyone what it has been like for you, as succinct and shrink wrap as you can, to watch other people be free from being trapped by their own trauma and addiction.
Friday nights are my favorite night because every Friday night we have graduation, and that's where we have our clients come up and they give their wins from the different parts of the program they complete and then the full program. I could be having the worst week of my life and a client comes up and you see that you've literally given them their life back. I cry every single Friday night, every single graduation, because you realize these are people that were hopeless. They didn't think there was another solution. They didn't think there was a way out. And they fully and 100% believe now that they can go create their own futures. They're grateful to us, and I'm grateful to be able to give it to them. So there is no better, bigger, better feeling in the entire planet than giving somebody back their life for them to take it and run with it and go kick ass.
You are going to make me cry. No, you're going to do it to me right now. Listen.
Can I just show your listeners one thing?
Go ahead. Yes, please.
If you're on the fence about getting help, if you're like questioning whether you know someone that needs help, don't wait. Don't waste time. Fentanyl is disgusting and it's laced in everything these days. If you're even having an inkling of a thought to get help and you want to help somebody, just don't waste time. Do your research, find the little guys that are out there. You know, it's hard to find on Google sometimes because the first few pages are flooded with big money and they're not always the best programs. But there are places that can help. A lot of times addicts don't want help, or alcoholics, because they think it's all the same. It's the same 12-step program they've always done. So there is options and alternatives out there. Either we can help you or we can help you get to where is an appropriate place for whatever you need. But don't wait, because you don't want somebody or yourself to die while you're pondering whether this is the right time or right thing to do. Just do it.
Yeah. I appreciate that more than you know, and so many right now are doing the same. They appreciate it. Graduation makes everything okay again. That's from Hercules' mommy. It's worth it. That's someone that knows you evidently in your program, and others here have sent up hearts. Most of the time you've been talking, you have nothing but hearts going across the screen, which shows that you are connecting and have connected with those who have been a part of your program. You are done being tortured by me. I hope it wasn't that bad of an experience, and if it wasn't, I'm going to make sure it is the next time. So,
There you go.
so,
Let's
so
go.
you,
Let's go
no,
2 hours
tough.
next time.
See,
I'm ready.
look, see, I'm not messing with you because I can't give you a hard time. You're too tough. Thank you so much, Angie. You're beautiful inside and out, and you're just a naturally caring person. You have a very strong nurturing nature that has nothing to do with your past. It's just the way you were made. You like to nurture and take care and help people to see not only their potential, but to open them up to things that they can't even see about themselves. You have an amazing ability to do. You're like an emotional can opener. You open people up so that they can pour out themselves and make this planet better. And in your part of the world, a lot of people may know you, and other parts they may not, but you're still having an effect, as somebody said here, ripple effect across this planet. You're doing that, and it will last. You have a legacy to be contended with. It's going to be hard for a lot of people to walk in your shoes, but you're doing a good job of freeing people from the trauma and the drama that was planted on them. That this stuff many times is done to them, and it's not them. Even though others try to make them believe it's them, and they just need to break free from that garbage and move forward and create. And you're doing that. Thank you for being awesome.
Yeah.
And you know what? You're funny.
Yes.
You're funny too. You're funny. You're funny. You know, because some people in the field they can get so serious about this, and it can be almost condemnation when they talk about addiction and recovery. It was really hard for me to find you. It was to
Appreciate that.
stumble up on you, and I was like, man, I've got to get her to meet my audience because they need to know a place like yours exists. And today was that day. Thank you, my
Yeah,
friend.
and getting sober can be fun. It doesn't have to be a
Yeah.
serious and somber occasion. Like you can be free. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at you, man. You just, man, you need your own show. I just, you need to be on national TV or something. All right. Anyhow,
Yes.
thank you very much, my friend. Take
Yeah.
care, everybody. Take care. And by the way, go Lakers. I mean, go Warriors. I'm sorry.
Ah!
I don't know how that
Go
flips out.
Niners. Got it.
Go, I can't say go Oakland Raiders or nothing anymore. They're in Vegas. But
That's
anyhow, all
right.
right. Take care. We'll see you later, my friend.
All
Thank you,
right. Bye.
everybody.
Thank
We'll
you
see
for
you. Bye.
having me.
No
You got
worries.
it.
Bye bye.